Let's face it, there's a lot riding on this next Superman movie. I think it's safe to say that James Gunn's plans for the DCU rests on the success of his next Superman movie. Which, hey, fair enough. If a movie based on a character that's as iconic as Superman doesn't do well, why should Warner Brothers finance the production of any other DC Comics project aside from Batman? I mean, think about it. If James Gunn screws up Superman, it's safe to say that Supergirl, Lanterns, and his other DC projects will underperform. Now, despite these high stakes, I'm 99.9% sure that Superman will not only do well, but it has the potential to change everything. In this video, I'm going to go over why the stakes are so high for this next Superman movie, and why I think this vision for the character will have a major positive impact on the world. But before we move on, please be sure to give a like and subscribe to Reverb Comics. You do not want to miss out on our awesome content. Alright, so to start things off, I gotta say, I got a bit of a bias here. I'm a hardcore DC Comics fanboy, and I'm a huge fan of James Gunn's work. But despite these strong beliefs, I know that his next Superman movie will be a massive success. Now let's start off with why the stakes are so high in the first place. If you're not aware, Warner Brothers, the studio that's putting the money behind the new Superman movie, is in a pretty tight spot right now. From my understanding, they're not on the verge of bankruptcy, but they're still in a tight spot. To prove my point, I'm going to bore the crap out of you with some numbers from WB's annual report. In the fourth quarter of 2024, the company reported total revenues of $10 billion, marking a 1% decrease compared to the same quarter the previous year. Annual revenues for 2024 totaled $39.3 billion, a 4% decrease from the prior year. And adjusted EBITDA for the year was $9 billion. An 11% decrease compared to the previous year. Now, I'm not a financial expert here, but I got a feeling that these numbers do not look good for shareholders. On an annual and quarterly basis, they want to see increases, not decreases, in the earnings, revenues, and profits. Now, from my understanding, Warner Brothers is still a very profitable company. It's just that their earnings, revenues, and profits are not trending upwards. And if things aren't trending in an upward direction, shareholders won't be too happy. And if the board of directors aren't too happy, well, it's hard to justify the financing of future DC Comics projects. If Superman doesn't do well, it's safe to say that the CEO, David Zaslav, will not be around much longer. For those of you who don't know, this guy is a pretty controversial figure. When he started out, he did a lot of things to clean house. For instance, he permanently shelved the Batgirl movies so that Warner Brothers could get a major tax break. But he did do one really smart thing. He made James Gunn the creative visionary for the DC Universe. David Zaslav basically made James Gunn the Kevin Feige of the DCU. Technically, he made James Gunn and Peter Safran the heads of the DC Universe. From my understanding, Peter Safran just handles the logistics and the administrative stuff, while James Gunn just handles the creative stuff. But you get the point. If the board of directors aren't too happy with the performance of Superman, they'll probably fire David Zaslav, and James Gunn's future as the head of the DCU will be uncertain. Warner Brothers is really banking on Superman to be a big hit. They really took a hit with the Joker sequel, Folie à Deux. They put a lot of money into that movie, and it bombed pretty spectacularly. So believe me when I say this, there's a lot riding on Superman. If Superman does well, it's safe to say that there will be a lot of confidence in James Gunn's future for the DCU, which is what everyone wants. Warner Brothers wants it, the fans want it, everyone wants Superman to do well. So make no mistakes, the stakes are very high. The future of James Gunn's DCU rests on the success of Superman. Now, despite the fact that the stakes are really high, I'm almost certain that Superman will do amazing. And that's largely because of the cultural impact the film will have in the world. More specifically, Superman will fix the divisiveness. Now, in case you're not a hardcore DC Comics fan, here's a quick update on the divisiveness that's going on right now in the fandom. I think it's safe to say that most DC fans are pretty fantastic, but there's a lot out there that want to see James Gunn fail. Is it because they genuinely hate James Gunn? Well, yes and no. You see, there's a lot of fans out there that are just being protective of Zack Snyder, and I don't blame them. You see, Zack Snyder had a lot of bad luck, both professionally and in his personal life. Man of Steel got mixed reactions for Superman killing General Zod, but a lot of people, including myself, praised the film for its ambitious storytelling, fantastic narrative structure, and the fact that Zack Snyder went out of his way to make each shot in the movie look aesthetically amazing. Then, when Batman v Superman came out, things really started to fall apart. The studio messed with Zack Snyder's creative vision. His 2.5-hour film got cut into a 2-hour theatrical version, which in my opinion turned BVS into a narrative mess. For instance, there's a sequence in the movie where Superman shows up to put a stop to Batman while he's in the middle of chasing down thugs. In the theatrical version, it made no sense as to why Superman did this, but in the Snyder Cut, it made total sense. Clark was investigating Batman as a journalist. In the Snyder Cut, it's easy to see why Superman wanted to put a stop to Batman, because when he was investigating, Batman pretty much came off as a terrorist. Which, hey, fair enough. Batman killed a lot of people in that movie. But the point is, Warner Brothers messed his movie up so much that they turned his vision into a narrative mess. So when Batman v Superman got the backlash that it got, Zack Snyder was busy shooting Justice League. Now, I don't know what came before or after, but around that time, Zack Snyder's daughter passed away from mental health issues, and he was fired from Warner Brothers and could not finish working on Justice League. Again, I don't know what came first. I don't know if Warner Brothers fired him before or after his daughter passed away. But either way, that's just such a tough blow for the guy to go through. Even though I didn't agree with the way that Superman, Batman, and Lex Luthor were characterized, you can't deny that what the guy went through was truly awful. The studio messed with his creative vision, fired him around the time of his daughter's passing, and left before he can finish the story he wanted to tell. So yeah, I 100% feel for the guy. And I 100% understand why these Snyderverse fans are so protective of Zack. Now, to be fair, Zack Snyder landed on his feet. He was brought back and got to finish his creative vision for his Justice League film, and he went on to direct multiple projects like Rebel Moon. But the point is, the DC fandom has been divided for a pretty long time now. There are fans who genuinely feel betrayed over the way Warner Brothers treated Zack Snyder, and as a consequence of that, they want Zack Snyder back. Which, hey, fair enough. In my opinion, Zack deserves a huge apology from Warner Brothers. But I hate to be the guy that says this, but he's not coming back. Now, do I hate James Gunn? Of course not. He's an amazing guy with such a huge passion for storytelling. The point that I'm trying to make here is that there's a lot of divisiveness in the fandom right now, and to be real with you, I think David Cornsweet's Superman can really unite people. What I love about Superman is that he's one of the only characters that challenges people to look at things through the lens of love. Superman's a lot of things. He's the last son of Krypton, he's a god amongst gods amongst his Justice League teammates, and he's an optimist. But to me, in his simplest form, he's a guy who does what he loves with the people that he loves. And that just so happens to be one of the only ways you can forgive others and enjoy life. Doing what you love is the ultimate purification of the soul, and Superman embodies that to a T. So who knows? Maybe this next Superman film will challenge the DC fandom to drop the hate, forgive and forget, and embrace the love. Now, will everything turn out perfect? Probably not, but chances are David Cornsweet's Superman will move things in the right direction. Like or hate the cast and crew of Superman, but they are handling themselves really well despite the few toxic fans out there that want to see the movie fail. Listen, I'm not trying to tell you how to think here. You're free to love or hate this next Superman movie all you want, but really fantastic art has the potential to change the way people think and feel. I don't know about you, but a character that challenges us to love one another as opposed to tearing each other down will be something that a lot of us can get behind. Which leads me to my next point. James Gunn is finally gonna get Superman right. Now, not only do I think that James Gunn's Superman will help unite the DC fandom, but I also think that his next Superman film will help society as a whole. More specifically, it will help the individuals in our society who need it most. You see, like most of you know, Superman's not only a symbol of love, but he's a symbol of hope. And in this day and age, people need Superman more than ever. To me, it's not just the Superman stories that make me shed a tear, but it's also the Superman testimonials that make me emotional. Now, just a heads up, this testimonial is pretty heavy, so if you're not comfortable with this, I don't mind you not watching this next part of the video. Anyways, I came across this testimonial of a young woman who was suffering from depression. She wanted to end it all at the end of the year. Luckily for her, she came across Grant Morrison's All-Star Superman. Even though she wasn't a comic book fan, she picked up the book and decided to give it a read. When she came across the part where Superman talks the young lady down from stepping off a ledge, she broke down in tears. She identified with the lady who thought her life wasn't worth living anymore. And you know what she did after? She just imagined Superman hugging her. Every time her depression came at her like a bullet train, she imagined getting all sorts of love, comfort, and support from the Man of Steel himself. And I don't know about you, but I think that's just fantastic. If I could ever create a story or character that can get at least one person through a really tough time in their life, I'd die a happy man. Now, will James Gunn's Superman be like Grant Morrison's All-Star Superman? It's hard to say at this point, but I know that James Gunn and David Cornsweet are going to try. I imagine that they'll bring their own take on the character, but I think it's safe to say that this Superman will be kind, loving, and just a really chill dude, which are pretty much the vibes I'm getting from David Cornsweet. Listen, to those of you watching, maybe your life is going really well. Maybe you got a really amazing family and you're working your dream job. And if that's the case, I'm really happy for you. But you gotta keep in mind that there's people out there that are just not as fortunate as you are. There's people out there that are in or have survived abusive relationships. There's people out there who've lost their homes and were driven to homelessness. There are addicts who destroyed their lives and their relationships. And there's people whose health have gone downhill and who are fighting 24/7 just so they can have more time with their loved ones. To me, when life is going really well, Superman's just a whatever character. But when life gets rough, man does that change. When life's tough, Superman's not just this comic book character. Superman means something. He means something to pretty much anyone who's gone through some really tough times. Listen, who knows? Maybe Superman will be alright, but let's be real, that's probably not going to happen. James Gunn has consistently delivered on movies that gave you the feels. I felt it when Star-Lord finally came to terms with the loss of his mom. I felt it when the Guardians mourned for Yondu. I felt it when Rocket got traumatized after losing his friends from the High Evolutionary. I felt it when the team lost Groot. I felt it when Rocket got to be with Lila the Otter for just one more minute. I felt it when Mantis summoned the courage to tell Star-Lord that she's his half-sister. And I felt it when the Guardians got their closure at the end of Volume 3. It's pretty much guaranteed that this next Superman movie will give us the feels. I feel like a lot of these past Superman projects forgot that there needs to be a lot of emotional conflict in these types of stories. Superman's not just this guy who fights these intergalactic threats and Lex Luthor's robots. He's a guy who has his own relationships, found love, and got a job. He's pretty much the most human guy in the Justice League. You can even argue that he's the most human guy in the DC Universe. To be fair, Tyler Hoechlin's Superman went through his fair share of emotional conflict when he found out about Lois's cancer diagnosis, but you get the point. I feel like this next Superman movie will fill the same void that Ted Lasso filled. Everyone just wants a feel-good story with a character that makes it feel seen and heard. So there you have it, folks. Superman's gonna check all the boxes. It's gonna deliver on not just a great sci-fi film, but a story that shows us why love, kindness, and hope is so important. It'll help unite people, heal the divisiveness in the DC fandom, and give Warner Brothers the hit it really needs. Let's just face it, Superman will change everything. But what do you think? Do you think that this next Superman film will be fantastic? What do you think needs to happen in this next Superman movie? Let me know what you think in the comment section below. As always, thanks a million for watching. Please be sure to give a like and subscribe to Reverb Comics so that you do not miss out on our awesome content. Stay groovy.